by far the biggest release this year, assuming they get it out this year, will be Battlefield 6, at least incremental from last year. Obviously, Call of Duty is going to be the biggest release. So Battlefield 6 fans are unhappy with the changes to the class system. The core is always bitching about something, right? They gotta
tell me about it.
Poor franchise can never make anybody happy.
But having said that, this is actually a real big departure from the core Battlefield, right? Where you have fixed classes of assault, support, engineer, and recon with fixed weapon types, right? And this does make the classes feel unique and act unique on the battlefield. So they have somewhat of a gripe here from the core perspective. So in the new Battlefield, the weapons are not restricted by class. So basically, the core players are arguing that removing weapon restrictions undermines the identity of the classes and their effect in gameplay. This could lead to unbalanced scenarios, medics camping with sniper rifles, disrupting the team dynamic is what they were saying. So my sense is that this is a very easy reason, right? They're just trying to simplify this shit so they can charge more money for cosmetics, right? Like, they're trying to simplify the monetization by allowing broader usage of the different weapons across the different classes. And that makes it much easier to sell skins. And in some ways, they're actually creating a system more like, obviously, like Call of Duty, if I were to say, right? So that it's easy to monetize. It's also easier for progression because you can basically use progressed weapons through the different classes. It simplifies the battle pass. The challenges are actually tied to the weapon type, not the class type. That means that everyone can participate if they use their weapons, no matter what class they are. And it also creates, obviously, a simpler system for pipeline for cosmetics. So that's kind of my think. It's actually really smart design from the monetization perspective and could help like boost the longevity of the game, making it easier to progress. But, the core fanboys are always going to complain. And in their defense, I do think it's kind of a departure from the historical core nature of this game, but it could help them monetize long term. What do you think, Mr. Adam Telfer, Mr. Product, or Mr. Phil?
Tapping Phil. Phil was on this game.
Yeah, I worked. I live in Sweden because of this company.
Oh, I had no idea. I know. I honestly didn't know that you worked on this specific game.
No, I worked on Battlefield, obviously. And I went through, this is like Battlefield therapy is talking about classes. So Battlefield 2042 did actually move away from this. If you remember, there was a huge controversy as a part of this game. And the debate is always over this operator model that Rainbow Six Siege pioneered, where you're kind of like spending this fixed amount every quarter and getting like 2 characters. It's very easy to sell to players and creates kind of a dependable revenue stream. Although I will say, cosmetics have outgrown a lot of the character-based monetization that people talk about. Like Riot, for instance, has grown their cosmetics inventory and their revenue share over time. It's just easier to stack revenue. The pipeline for operators is slower. Gameplay is a lot slower. But this has always been the debate, whether or not you lock down classes with weapons or whether or not you allow a lot of customization between every single class. I think the monetization region is complete and utter bullshit, Eric. I'm sorry. No one cares.
Really?
It doesn't drive that much revenue because what happens is people are still playing one gun. People do not switch classes generally. That's rare. People focus on one class and they focus on one gun. They date when new weapons come out, but ultimately, they have their long run marriage. And that's ultimately where they're going to equip cosmetics to. And changing class restrictions doesn't do a lot to change that equilibrium. It doesn't change the meta collection game by as much as you might imagine. That would be really far down on my list of reasons about why I would go ahead and do this. This is totally about whatever they think is best for the core gameplay. That's the only thing that should matter here. Nothing else is that significant.
So I guess the 2042 changed the open class system over time, right? That wasn't the initial launch, correct?
Correct.
And so
we had always been asking UXR about this, about open classes and when people are excited about it. But no, remember they switched kind of what was locked down and what wasn't. So remember you had weapons that anyone could use, but if you used a weapon that had an affinity with your class, you would get a benefit.
Right.
For instance, you could hold in your breath longer if you were recon. So it still was fairly open.
Right, but it wasn't open at launch. They opened it up later in order to improve it for both gameplay, but also likely monetization, no?
Correct. Now, they were still specialists at launch, though.
I know, but the weapon system was open.
Correct.
Opened
Correct.
over time.
Correct.
Okay. So this is just an extension of what they already fixed, quote unquote, fixed with 2042, which would piss people off that didn't actually play 2042 or didn't continue to play 2042. This is the first time they've actually been exposed to it.
Correct. This would be a wake-up call if you skip 2042 and are coming from like Call of Duty, or excuse me, Battlefield 5.
Again, so that was kind of my point. It's a departure from the core Battlefield systems that most people are used to, because 2042 came out a long fucking time ago, and not many people play it, right? I mean, even though it's a great game, theoretically. I mean, not theoretically, it is a great game.
I mean, Battlefield always moves a lot of units. I think that's what people forget. It just struggles with long run retention. Its struggle has always been building the service. Like even 2042 got a lot of exposure. The back catalog sells very well.
I'm trying to counter your point about monetization, because the only point of making these type of changes, which they already did to 2042 for obvious reasons, and they're extending it to this game, is for retention and monetization, right? Like
monetization was never part of these conversations. No one was directly thinking, okay, because we put class restrictions on, people are going to switch weapons more often than they might otherwise switch, which means they're going to buy more cosmetics than they might otherwise buy. That was never one of the motivating reasons for this change, at least internally.
Okay. Well, we will see how well they do. I'm rooting for Battlefield, because I do think it is a great franchise. It seems like they've worked their asses off to make this game successful. So,
it looks good.
And it looks good.
Definitely.
Yeah,
all the labs
good.
feedback, all the labs leaks that they've got there. Looks like
I
positive
feel like
sentiment. It's good.
It feels like they tried to do more with the community than they ever did in the past, which is always a good sign.
Yeah.
Modern military always sells well. Like that is one of the best themes you can have.
That's the best setting for sure.
It's just a question of how long you have to wait till you can go back to it, till it's fresh again.
You did it. You made it to the end of the episode. As a fan of the show, it would help us out if you'd subscribe and leave us a review on the podcast service of your choice. Those stars and likes, while a small action on your part, mean a lot to us and help to grow the show. More importantly, are you a member of the Deconstructor of Fun Slack group? If you have 5 years or more of games industry experience, go to deconstructoroffun.com/Slack and apply to join. Join the games industry best professional community filled with peers always willing to lend a hand, or subscribe to our newsletter to get all the latest insights from the Deconstructor of Fun content creators. Thanks for listening.